What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam, and I'm removing microtransactions from this podcast.
I feel like you've done that one before.
Did I? Microtransactions are a huge
they're
one.
A big deal.
Yeah. You are really not really close to your mic.
Well, I'm sorry. The dog
Yeah.
decided that it was a good time to sit in my lap.
There we go. We're getting closer. Yay, we did it.
Sorry, I'm short. I can't handle it.
I'm super tall. I'm
super short.
I'm at least 6'7".
Lies.
Okay, fine. I'm 6'5".
You're
Ooh,
6'1".
dang it. Well,
I mean, really, like, it doesn't matter. I am 5'2" and 3/4. The doctor couldn't give me a quarter of an inch.
Dang.
So really, your 6'1" is nothing in comparison.
welcome to Games and Groceries. Liz, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Slowly, extremely slowly recovering from my cold.
Yeah.
As many of you remember last week, I sounded terrible.
Yeah, and you gave me a cold, so that was great.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's what marriage is. We share everything.
Ouch. We also got a Switch Lite this past week.
Which we share.
Yeah, we did share. Kind of. Well, it's good, though, because you're now playing Breath of the Wild. I'm playing the Untitled Goose Game. I have never seen you more invested. Hi, buddy. I've never seen you more invested into a game than you have been with Breath of the Wild. He's on my wire. I got him. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't really... I just figured out what I'm doing with Breath of the Wild. It took me 2 hours to do it. But what happened was I was walking around aimlessly because I never dedicated a spot on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I forgot. Like, I set the destination, but then I somehow unset it. So I was just walking around aimlessly, and then I was like, what is happening? And then I, looked at it. I was like, oh, it's not set. There we go. And then I was able to figure out what was happening.
But you're pretty good into Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will beat Untitled Goose Game at some point.
Is there a way to beat that? Is that like a game you beat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to play it.
I don't know. I just assumed you're walking around aimlessly acting
No.
like a goose bothering people.
It's well, yeah, that too, but there's goals in mind. It's so good. I love Untitled Goose Game. But yeah, let's just get the show started. We actually have a Switch Lite news, but it's not so good. But yeah, we got a Switch Lite. And we're hoping it stays Joy-Con-esque, you know? You know.
We're not at that part of the show, though.
No.
You have to wait.
But I really like the Switch Lite. It feels good.
Yeah, it's nice.
Your pinky fell asleep, though.
Yeah, my first night playing it, my pinky fell asleep. But that happens a lot when I play video. Like, even when I play the consoles, my pinky falls asleep. I think I have some sort of, like, deficiency or something in my
you never
fingers.
told me that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome to Games and Groceries again. Let's get the show started, and we'll take you into a doctor pretty soon to check your
pinky.
To check your pinky.
It happens when I'm on my phone too. Like, if I'm holding something for too long in my left hand, my pinky falls asleep. Sometimes my right hand. Anyway, let's go. On to our first segment.
I've known you for 10 years. I've never known this part. Anyways,
you ignored my cue.
Yeah, because we have to remind our audience to find us on social media.
Oh, yeah.
You can find us on social media, Twitter, at Gaming Groceries. You can also follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer. You can also find us on Instagram.
Hey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm at Journey First.
So you can follow us individually and be friends with us there. Ask Liz, why is your pinky always falling asleep? Hers is at Journey First. Please ask her. Tweet at her. Why is Pinky falling asleep? Hashtag Wake Up Pinky. Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word. We can check out behind the scenes photos as well as Question of the Week, where I post every single Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have enough time to answer from Sunday Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But let's check out our website, Games and Groceries. groceries.com, where you can check out all the episodes from the website, as well as find out where you can listen to the audio versions of the website, as well as some articles that I've written in the past, but I have not gotten to yet because we're in the moving process. By moving process, I mean we're a month away, so I'm still stressing out about that. Anyways, so if you're watching us on YouTube, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you are aware of when all of these podcast episodes come out, as well as subscribing to us on iTunes if you're listening to us on the audio. I know because a quarter of you are listening on iTunes. I'm creepy like that, and I see the statistics. So with all that said and done, let's move on to our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we saw in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, or in theaters, and we like to recommend it or we don't recommend it. And this week's movie is actually something that we actually didn't give a rating this time.
No, it's too hard to give a number to.
Let's just talk about it. We just came out. In fact, we're recording this at nighttime because her friend's coming over during our usual recording time.
Later.
So we actually just came out of seeing Joker in theaters.
Yeah.
So Joker, of course, starring Joaquin Phoenix. When I say of course, I mean it has been all over in media. Like everybody has been waiting for this film to come out.
Yeah.
And now it is. We just saw the midnight premiere. Not really midnight.
They say midnight, but it's like they showed the first movie at 4:30.
Yeah. So
Stupid.
Opening thoughts, go.
It was good.
Yeah.
And we actually disagreed in how we perceived the movie because you saw it as a standalone.
Yeah, I saw it as a film.
I watched it as part of the Batman DC universe.
Yeah. Which, before we go any further, we are not saying any spoilers.
No.
If you are afraid of any kind of spoilers, I have timestamps down below in the description, YouTube, audio, whatever. You can just skip ahead. We're not doing any spoilers, but if you want to go fresh in, there you go. Continue.
So we both watched the movie in different mindsets, and that's where we disagree because I saw it as part of the Batman universe, and I didn't enjoy it as much because of that.
Right.
Because the whole time, one, I have to say this.
Yeah.
I am in love with Heath Ledger.
Yes.
I will always be in love with Heath Ledger. When I remember that he is dead, I want to cry.
Yeah.
That's how in love with Heath Ledger I am. So this was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I'm just like, well, Heath Ledger could do it better.
Yeah.
And I just remember that Heath Ledger is dead and he couldn't be this part, but he would have been amazing in this part, in my opinion. So that was part of my problem.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was looking for plot holes, trying to see if it connects to the Batman story. So that was part of it, was that the whole time I was trying to make sure that both meshed.
Yeah.
Whereas you were watching it as a standalone. And it was, and thinking back, if it was a standalone movie, it would have been amazing. And
that's the thing. That's my first point is that, well, let's just jump into this, right? Because it says movie minutes, not movie hour. But talking about this, I think the biggest problem of this film, and this isn't like I didn't have any notes down because we literally just got out of it.
Yeah.
So this is just coming off the cuff.
Fresh.
So I think its biggest enemy in this film was that it was a Batman theme.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I think Hi, buddy. Are you itching yourself? Can I help you itch? Cool. I'm itching my dog with my foot. Anyways, I think its biggest flaw was that it had to be a Batman theme.
Yeah.
But trailers depict that something's wrong with Arthur Fleck. Right. And it's pretty much been said that he has schizophrenia. Now, if the movie just focused about how communities don't focus on schizophrenic people, right? I think this movie would have had a brilliant message, a needed message, and a phenomenal artistic film that has plenty of cinematography and great writing and fantastic acting. The acting in this film is fantastic. However, you have to compare it to all other Batman films because that's what it puts it out to be. The whole movie is called Joker.
Yeah, which also leads it to be compared to other Jokers as well, other actors who played
Exactly.
the Joker,
You
which
ha-
is what I was doing.
You have to compare this with Heath Ledger's Joker. Like you have to compare it with those ranks. Who was the best Joker? And now you have to put Joaquin Phoenix in the mix. But
Which I want to say, Joaquin Phoenix came as a close second to Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger will
Yeah.
always be number one. That's the end of the story. Don't fight me.
But that's the sad part is that the movie had a phenomenal message behind it.
Yeah.
And yet it was ruined because it was so focused on making sure that this is a Batman film.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I kept thinking in this film that this did not need the Batman film.
It could have been a good, like, if they just came up with an idea for this movie
Yeah.
and just put it out as a regular movie, it would have been an amazing and strong movie.
Yeah.
And I feel, and like you were saying, you kind of feel like they put it in a Batman theme so that it would sell tickets out of fear that it wouldn't have sold otherwise.
And that's the thing. I think it's so wrong to think that, to say that the only way people would see this is because it's Batman. But that's completely false. Like the fact that Joaquin Phoenix isn't really marketable. You know, I know Joaquin Phoenix. Do you know him?
I know his name.
Yeah.
And I recognize his face, but I don't know where to place him. So I feel like
He was in, I think his youngest role was Stand By Me. I might be wrong about that. But that's the thing is that, Joaquin Phoenix isn't completely marketable. But you have Robert De Niro in there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that I think that it made the mistake of being a Batman film. Now, let me go into my good points here. The cinematography, the way this is filmed, the way it was directed was so fantastic. You thought you were watching an art piece. You thought you were experiencing like an indie game. You know how indie games have those kind of really nice camera angles?
Yeah.
This had brilliant camera angles. You know what to focus on. It gave you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We sat in the front row. It's already hard to see the screen.
Yeah, which also made it a little hard to focus on the movie.
But the direction and the cinematography of this film had you point out every single thing you needed to see on the screen. And I think that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the story was well written because it all tied itself together. There was no loose ends. You saw the purpose. You saw the drive. You saw every person's motives. I won't say because that's a spoiler. But you got to see everybody's point in the story.
Yeah.
And I think it was just well written until you got to the end, which is I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts before we go into why we're not giving it a number?
Not really. It's just something. I mean, it's definitely a good movie to see, not waste time.
Yeah.
But I think it all depends on what your mindset is going into it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like if your mindset, like myself, you just watch it as a film, standalone. I didn't give it any sort of bar. I didn't compare it to Dark Knight. I didn't compare it to any other Joaquin Phoenix film. I just walked in and said, this is a movie. But you made sure you were only focusing on how does this tie into the Batman universe.
Yeah.
But me, I'm just saying, is this a good movie?
Yeah. And you can tell they tried to make it more of an indie.
Yeah.
But because it doesn't feel like a Batman movie.
Right. And that's it.
But it's supposed to be. And that's where I think the disconnect is.
Now, usually we give this a number. We usually give this a number out of 10. Usually, a 7 out of 10 is decent and 8 is a solid movie. Now, here's the problem. Here's the real problem. And we were talking about this on the walk home. Just kind of saying like, listen. And I was trying to convince her like, this was a fantastic film. If the message was just driving into, we need to give people with mental illness a better chance at life, I think it would have been like a film of the decade, right? However, because it was a Batman film, it kind of lost track with its message a little bit and tried to get you to say like, no, wait, this is a Batman themed film. This is a Batman themed film. Just remember that it's still Batman, and it conflicts itself. Is it a good,
Yeah.
like, if you gave it a number, that would be like saying, like, is this number for a Batman film? Is this movie for a mental illness film?
Mhm.
Is this number, it got complicated.
Yeah, so we ultimately decided that it's too hard to rate,
Yeah.
but we can give it the stamp of not a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, not a waste of money, not a waste of time.
Yeah. We talked about it and just said, like what you said, it's worth seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing.
Yeah. If you were curious to say, like, well, I already know the end of the story, you're already probably guessing how the movie ends, you might be right. That without spoiling it, you might be right. However, how you get to that ending is fantastic. The journey,
Coaster.
it's a roller coaster. So whatever you think about the film, whatever you're trying to predict,
Stop.
yeah, like, I still think it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
Would we own this on Blu-ray? Probably not. It's one of those films that, like, I can see once, maybe twice, but after that, it's just...
Yeah, it's a couple times and pretty spaced out. Like, I think if we ever watch it again, it would be because it's on TV in like 5 years.
Exactly.
Like, it's on a channel. We're like, hey, Joker.
Yeah.
Let's watch that.
Or, just not, because I hate watching movies on TV.
I know.
Commercials. But anyways, but that was Joker. That was our opinions of Joker. I know it was a little bit confusing because, like I said, I usually have notes and structured. But it was very it's a very complicated film to actually give a rating for, because it's two different. I have to give it a lot more thought. I want to see
Usually we have time, like at least 12 hours to mull over
to
a
like
movie
process it. Yeah.
before we rate it, and this was
And this
like
is fresh out.
10 minutes later.
This is why we watch the films like really early, just to like mull it over. I really want to see it again just to process it. But I definitely still think it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
If you're interested in seeing it at all. And if you're not interested in seeing it,
That's okay.
that's fine. But I definitely think it's worth at least one watch. It's a very important film. I'll give it that. In terms of mental illness, I think it's a very important film. So those are our thoughts. And I think it's a good time to jump into our next segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rate it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of what's going on in the games industry. And let's just get started with our number 3 in the top 3 gaming news, and that is Ubisoft is actually set to remove the boosters and microtransactions from Breakpoints. So if you're watching this is on Monday, you're probably watching it. It's probably already come into effect because Breakpoint is set to come out on Friday. And that's just it, is that if you got the gold edition of Breakpoint, you actually got early access, which means you also got early access to the microtransaction store. Microtransaction. Good job, Adam.
Where did you get 2 pens?
I don't know. I still have one. Let me throw that.
No.
Oh, okay.
Don't.
I like to
I'll
throw
write on your face.
I like to throw pens. My microphone. But anyways, if you purchase the gold edition, you have the early access to the show or to the store, not the show. It's late at night. So in this store, you got to see time savers, skill point bundles, crafting materials, and weapon upgrades. All of this to say that, like, this is a pay-to-win kind of microtransaction store. Now, when I saw this, the immediate thought process was Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I saw this in Odyssey, and the reason was it wasn't that big of a deal. It's because it was a single-player game. No one really cares. This whole time-saver thing. It is still a microtransaction in a single-player game, though, so it just kind of got up in the way. Now, Breakpoint has multiplayer in it, right? So then it becomes pay to win. And that's just it. It's that Ubisoft Ubisoft lately has become a microtransaction fiend a little bit. And the whole loot box thing in Siege is fine, in my opinion, but that's just it. Now, Ubisoft did come out and say that they're getting rid of it. Community managers came onto a blog post to say this. This is just a section of the blog post, and it has this to say. From the beginning, two key factors stood out as an extremely important for the team. That Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint doesn't include any pay-to-win elements, and to make sure that players not choosing to engage in in-game purchases do not see their experience affected. Players will be able to unlock skills and get access to plenty of varied loot and items by simply playing the game. You know,
That's nice.
just like a regular game. Liz, any thoughts?
That sounds like a great idea.
I think so too. Good talk. But yeah, once again, Ubisoft is now in the fire of microtransactions, like I said. I've seen this in Assassin's Creed Origins. I didn't play too much of Odyssey because it's a garbage heap. I don't care what you say. But Odyssey also had these time savers and skill points and crafting materials. But these are single-player games, so they're thinking they can get away with it. Now, the also fact that, it's a single-player game, but it made itself so grindy that you feel like you had to buy these.
Mm-hmm.
I never did. I never felt like I had to in Origins. Odyssey, a little grindy, a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was interested in playing Breakpoint, especially since John Bernthal is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Bernthal is in it. The good puppy from E3. He was all about that great Breakpoint. So he was a good little puppy.
Jeez.
But any other thoughts before we move to number 2?
Not really, because I don't play Tom Clancy games.
Yeah. Dang. Division 2 also didn't really spark an interest in me either. Division 1 did. Anyways, let's move on to number 2, and that is the Switch Lite. The Switch Lite. Barely a week into existence, it has already been dragged into the Joy-Con class action lawsuit that was originally filed back in July. Now, if you remember that back in July, like I said, there was a lot of Joy-Con drift. It's late at night, people. This little Joy-Con drift going on with a lot of consumers, and a lawsuit came in. A class action lawsuit was filed for the consumers because there was a faulty system in a lot of Nintendo Switches, and we thought that Nintendo would solve it in the Switch Lite, but we found out through a video with Spawnwave as he broke down all the video. In fact, I will have his video linked down below. Definitely give it a check out. He actually breaks down the Switch Lite. He takes it apart, and he finds out that, what do you know? It's the same Joy-Cons from the original Switch in the Switch Lite. So, we looked at the warranty for ours. We have a 30-day return policy, so we're keeping in check of that. We kept the box just in case. But there's already been cases, many different cases, about the Switch Lite having Joy-Con drift or stick drift. So you've been playing the Switch Lite more than I have.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the joysticks feel like they could be broken?
Not from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not one to just let the Joy-Cons go.
Right.
Like, when I'm holding it, and I have my thumbs on them.
Yeah.
So, I guess if it was doing anything, I probably wouldn't even notice.
No, I checked because I calibrated it. And I was making sure it wasn't drifting because I keep checking it.
Okay.
But that's just
so
it.
I don't notice anything. So even if it was, it's not like game altering bad.
Exactly. Now a lot of users, and if you go through Reddit, a lot of them have the similarity that after 20 hours of gameplay, they experience Joy-Con drift or just joystick drift because there's no really Joy-Con on the Switch Lite.
I should be there in a couple days.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's the thing. They say after 20 hours, especially since they played Link's Awakening and Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
on the Switch's Lites. So, but we got this quote right here. Sorry, there's something going on outside. That's weird. But we got this quote from the article, which is linked down below. And it's true. While Nintendo hasn't addressed the problem in any kind of detail, the company did begin offering free Joy-Con repairs, no questions asked, after the lawsuit was entered. But the Switch Lite's controllers are built into the system itself, which means any kind of fix would involve shipping the whole thing off to a repair center, a process, and this is where the writer comes in here, a process I can tell personally takes weeks. Tomorrow I'll be going into my 3rd week and still counting until he gets his Joy-Cons back.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And like you said, for the regular Switch, that's not as big of a deal. Because there are ways around it.
Yeah.
But for the Lite, you have to ship out your entire system.
Exactly.
So that means you just bought the system for $200.
Yeah.
And now you don't get to use it for weeks.
Yeah.
Or who knows, it could be even longer. He's in his 3rd week. It could be a whole month.
Yeah.
It could be a month and a half.
And I know this sounds like, oh, boo-hoo, you don't have your video game system, you have plenty of other video games, but it's the fact that you're a consumer, you purchased this thing with money.
Yeah, and it came to you broken, essentially.
Yeah.
And for the Lite, it came out after the lawsuit, and they and Nintendo made the decision to keep the original the original shifts in this system.
Yeah, the original joysticks.
Yeah, that's where I was looking for.
Yeah. And that's just
so
it.
that's up to that's on them. They could have said, we're going to delay the release of the Lite so that we can replace all the, why can't I remember this word?
Joysticks?
Joysticks.
Yes.
So that we can replace all the joysticks. Like,
yes.
That would have been acceptable. I think everyone would have been perfectly fine with them delaying the release of the Lite.
Yeah.
So that they could all get systems that work properly. But instead they decided to release broken system again.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're having extra things added to their lawsuit.
It is a little bit annoying, but I am keeping a close eye watch on the Switch Lite.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit annoying that the Switch Lite is also brought into this same lawsuit, class action lawsuit. It's a little bit annoying, but we'll see where this all comes from. There was an FCC filing for a new Switch model, but we later found out that this is most likely the new model is actually a dev kit.
Yeah.
So, so no hope there. Let's move on to our number 1 gaming news, and that is a conspiracy theory here over at Sony Interactive Entertainment. And Sony's Twitter announced that the head of PlayStation Studios, Shawn Layden, is leaving Sony. Shawn Layden, which is essentially the Reggie Fils-Aimé, well now Doug Bowser, or the Phil Spencer of PlayStation. And he's leaving. Not through a press conference, which was really weird. That's the thing. This announcement didn't come through a press release or a press conference. No reason was given. No successor was named. It was just thrown out in a tweet, which I will read to you here very quickly. If it pops up, there it is. So this is coming from PlayStation's official Twitter. And this came out on September 30th, just out of the blue. Like I said, no press conference. PlayStation has this to say. It is with great emotion that we announce that Worldwide Studios chairman Shawn Layden will be departing SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment. His visionary leadership will greatly be missed. We wish him success in the future endeavors and are deeply grateful for his years of service. Thanks for everything, Shawn. I love how they ended. Thanks for everything. Peace out, homie. And that was that.
Yeah.
Shawn Layden didn't tweet anything. Like I said, no press conference was scheduled. People were searching for a reason. No reason was given. And it's becoming kind of a conspiracy theory. Now, I did just watch Luke Stevens' video. I'm just going to write this down because Like I'm going to be, linking some videos down below, and I want you to see it. But Luke Stevens actually had a really good thought, saying that a new person, I'm trying to remember this guy's name, but he's now the president of Sony Interactive Studios. But that's going to bother me. But that guy, you're going to hate me in the comments. Comment down below. Why am I so stupid? Now, it's late at night. Now, this new guy comes in and he has a totally new vision for Sony.
Mm-hmm.
And what basically Luke Stevens had said is that they're moving into a new generation very soon. They're starting to move management very soon because of this new generation. That's how Phil Spencer got his job, right? Because the other guy wasn't doing a fantastic job. So Phil Spencer took the reins and now we have Game Pass. So this new guy is saying like, hey, Shawn's not sharing my vision. I'm butting heads with him a lot. So let's just push him out. As somebody who is experiencing kind of the same thing. Not really. I shouldn't say that just yet.
Yeah.
On a similar level, I'm starting to really believe this. Liz, do you have any thoughts on this?
It's the business world. In the end, we like to believe that the gaming community is truly a community and a family and that nothing like this would happen in our community.
Yeah.
But the reality is that they're in the business world and business world pretty much does whatever they want.
Yeah.
So, it's plausible.
And that's just it. It's plausible that they're just pushing him out with silence. Shawn Layden is probably not retiring. They just kind of pushed him out. Because it's just weird.
I was going to say, because also, you hear all the time how people are forced into retirement.
Yeah, they're forced into it.
It could be the same situation where they didn't, they just kind of forced them into that option where he's just like, well, what's the point? I might as well just retire.
Yeah. And that's just it. Shawn Layden has been with the company since 1987. He's been with the company for 32 years. He was at the company well before I was born. I am currently 28. So that's weird to think that.
He's been there since before I was even an idea.
Exactly. Wait, your parents were married. No, wait, they were married.
What year did he start?
1987.
Yeah, my parents weren't even engaged.
That's wild. That's wild.
My older sister wasn't even an idea at that point.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
That's weird. But that's the thing. He's been in the company for that long, and for him to leave, and for the announcement for him to leave at a company like Sony Interactive Entertainment through a tweet, that's just weird.
Yeah.
We don't know the reason yet. And again, this episode could come out Monday. We could find out all the details. So I probably sound like an idiot right now. I'm sure you'll say it in the comments down below if you're watching us on YouTube. But definitely comment down below. Why do you think he left? Honestly, because it's super weird. I like what Luke Stevens said about it. It's a pretty good
theory.
Yeah, it's a good theory. But I hope Shawn does the best, but honestly, with Shawn Layden, man, the PlayStation 4 wouldn't be where it is today. It was through Shawn Layden that you got games like Spider-Man, like you got games like God of War, like you got games like Infamous Second Son, like you got all these amazing games through Shawn Layden's visionary leadership, and for him to be just booted with a tweet. That's
the other thing. He didn't write any tweet.
He didn't write any tweets.
PlayStation just put that out, and that was the end of it.
I hope by the time this episode comes out, more reasons are out there in the open. Yeah. And I hope I sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
But it's starting to look like they just pushed him out. They told him to keep silent. They paid for his silence. And that's just that. So I think this is a good time to jump into our final segment. Do you think it's a good time?
I think we need to figure out a way to stop going into our final segment on a depressing note.
We'll never think like that because we're depressing people.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's just jump into our final segment.
Coffee time.
Every single week here on the podcast, we like to have this talkie time, which is a coffee table situation where we talk about topics in the gaming industry, like female gamers or breaking the mold in the gaming industry, or, game preservation or other topics. Just go down a list. You're listening to us on iTunes. I see the statistics. You're on iTunes, which I did hear that iTunes is messing up our feed a little bit. If you're seeing that, definitely write into me. I'm looking into it. From what I can tell, I can see is it's in order for me, but we did have some listeners say like, hey, it's out of whack. I don't know why. So I will be contacting our distributor. So, but let's talk about it. Here's our talking time. And we're actually talking about remasters versus remakes. Now, the reason why we decided on this topic is it was our past question of the week. What remasters would you like to see, a la Link's Awakening?
Mm-hmm.
Link's Awakening, of course, was the remake that was just released with the Switch Lite on September 20th. So let's just talk about this. So first, before we start the conversation, let's define a remaster versus a remake and even versus a port, right? So do you remember what a port is of a game?
It's when they take a game that was made for one console and they make it playable on another console, but it's like the exact same game.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, that's when you hear about a port, it is. Did you just bow?
Yeah, I was taking a bow. I got the answer right.
My goodness. And a port is just that, is the same exact game. Nothing special about it. It's just being ported over to another console. Right? There's no fancy dancy thing. It's just ported over. Now, a remaster, right? A remaster is a step above a port where it was an older game, but it was intentionally enhanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I say intentionally enhanced, there's a lot of this Xbox One X enhanced, and Bethesda does this a lot, where they'll say like, oh, we're not releasing a Fallout 3 remaster because, the Xbox One X, it already enhances it. That's kind of like saying that if I was playing a game on PC and I got a new PC so I can up the specs on my game, that counts as a remaster. That doesn't. That just means that the specs are up,
Mm-hmm.
Now, it does look really good. Like Red Dead Redemption, the first one, looks amazing on the Xbox One X.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a remaster. What a remaster is that you take the game of old, kind of like what a port is, but you intentionally enhance the graphics, enhance the depth perception, you enhance the audio, maybe throw in some DLCs. It is intentionally enhanced to give to a newer console so that older players, or younger players can experience games of old.
Yeah.
Right? Now, a remake is a complete get it out of here, get that old game out of here, and you remake the exact same game from the ground up.
Yes.
Right? So like we saw from the Resident Evil 2 remake, where it was not the same game at all, and it was completely remade with a new engine, new designers, like everything was remade.
Mm-hmm.
So a remaster is just the same game, just enhanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enhanced visuals, enhanced audio, enhanced box art. I don't know, but a remake is just it's not just enhanced, it's just completely remade.
Yeah, from
Right.
ground up.
Now, let's ask you this question. Now that we defined what a remaster is and what a remake is,
Mm-hmm.
how can remasters be good or bad? And the same thing as remakes. How do you think they can be good? How can you think they're bad?
I feel like a remaster is good when it comes to preserving memories,
Yeah.
because you're playing the same game you were before. It just looks nicer.
Right.
Whereas I don't know where I can find the bad in that, other than you don't get a new game. You're literally paying for the same game.
Yeah.
I think that's where that comes in, is you're paying for a game that you already have and own. Except for, yeah, I know you did that.
Yeah.
You had it,
And I
you
still
just
want it.
rebought it.
Yeah.
But
It's the same
crisper.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then as far as a remake, the part of that that's fun is that you get to see a new person's perspective
right
on the story or a new person's vision for the story.
Yeah.
And you get the same game, but it's a little different.
Yeah. It's
like
a
remix.
A remix. I like it. Remix.
So it's kind of like that. So you get to just see the same story from a different perspective almost.
Yeah.
And the only problem with that is, like, the one bad with that is that it's losing all those memories, or it doesn't have that nostalgia feeling that you would get with a remaster.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time they're remaking games that you played when you were younger.
Yeah, kind of like the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon remakes. They completely remade it from the ground up, or even Crash Team Racing completely remade. It's not a remaster because then it would just be the same game, just enhanced, but they completely remade it from the ground up. Now, I agree with you that a remaster can be great because it's the same game that you remember. It's just enhanced. I remember still getting Skyrim remastered, and all that was a test of the new Fallout 4 engine, the new creation engine, like the new enhanced one. And it just like say like, hey, before we make Fallout 4, let's test it out. And it's not as easy as that. They don't just like
plug it in and be like, look, everything's fixed.
Exactly. There's a lot more to it than just like, oh, just put it in, fellas. Oh, remaster. There we go.
Yeah.
But basically saying, now, I bought this. I knew it was just a cash grab, but I never played any of the DLCs, and I wanted the enhanced graphics on my Xbox One versus the 360, where it just crashed all the time. And that's the other thing. When you remaster a game, it can actually run better on your new systems. Like, especially PC players, we're still waiting. Mr. Matty Plays, if you're listening to this, yeah, I know. We're still waiting for a Knights of the Old Republic remaster, so that
hurt my ear,
so that it can run properly on PCs, because it keeps crashing on PCs. I want to replay it, but guess what? When you run it on Windows 10,
I wanted to see if you could turn your head anymore.
it won't play. Now we are still waiting. No, a Knights of the Old remake. See, that's the thing. When I think of a remake, and this is going to my next section, why should a remake be made over a remaster? So I'm kind of combining here. I think a remake needs to be made if the gameplay mechanics of the original weren't as intended, right? If the technology just stood at just like what Link's Awakening is. Now, again, I won't link this because I've linked enough YouTube videos for you. And articles. But Arlo was talking about the remake for Link's Awakening in his review for Link's Awakening, and he's just saying that like the whole reason why a game should be remade is that you didn't have the technology before to make it as enhanced in visual as the intended as the original designer intended for it to be,
or envisioned it to be.
Right, because it's still a top-down Zelda game.
Yeah.
Where a remake could be so much more than just a top-down Zelda game where it's square by square by square.
Yeah.
It could be just like Resident Evil 2. And I think Resident Evil 2 is one of the perfect examples of a good reason for a remaster is because I just burped. It's because the camera angle for the original Resident Evil 2, I said this before, I didn't really quite like it because you go into one room, the camera angle changes, and this and that.
Yeah.
Whereas it makes it modernized, and it encapsulates everything that the original creator envisioned, but with today's technology.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's why a remake should be made over a remaster. But a remaster should be made if the game is absolutely perfect, like Knights of the Old Republic. There's nothing really that needs to be fixed. It's perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
But it just needs some enhanced visuals and to run properly on PC without crashing.
Yeah, I agree, because if a game was well received, a good game,
yeah,
and is is one of those good games like Knights of the Old Republic where it's a favorite, it's nostalgic,
Yeah.
it's great, then yeah, a remaster is all that's needed.
Yeah.
But if it's a game that maybe wasn't as well received or wasn't quite up to standards,
Yeah.
then a remake is perfectly fine because you get that same base story that's what people wanted,
Yeah.
but you get to give them everything else they wanted, like better angles, better just a better round telling of the story.
Yeah.
You know, because there are some games that I think, you know, if it wasn't made the right way or wasn't received well the first time, say 5-10 years ago, then I think it's okay to try and remake it.
Well, you're talking about almost like a reboot.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so let's even define that.
I lost my train of thought.
Well, like, let's even talk about a reboot, right?
A lot of rees.
Well, that's the
going
thing.
around.
There's a lot like to go into because a lot of people get confused between like when a game re-releases, right? All of these are
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is probably what I'm
re-releases.
thinking of.
You know, re-releases, right? There's a port, there's a remaster, there's a remake. We define those. Now, a reboot, right, is kind of like the God of War game in PS4, where it's the same characters, but it's not remastering any sort of game from the past. It's not remaking any game from the past, right? It is simply just rebooting the series, like from ground up. Like it's a new game, but with a different storyline, kind of like Assassin's Creed Origins. And unfortunately, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. These are reboots for the series. I say unfortunately because fight me on Twitter at Ace the Grocer. Odyssey is trash.
Anyway.
Now, that's a reboot. But
yeah.
Did I lose your train of thought there?
No, I lost my train of thought when I was talking about remakes. I keep forgetting my examples.
Now, I keep thinking about like, well, it's kind of like when a movie is remade and remastered.
Yeah, when
but
it gets old enough.
But it's a little different because with a game, I would want it to be remade.
Here's an example of remake.
Yeah.
So, Disney.
No. All those movies should die and burn.
But that's what I'm saying. They are taking the old movies, remaking them with human elements.
And it's disgusting.
I know. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just saying that's an example of a remake.
And
they're literally making the same exact story that it was before, but someone else's idea, someone else's vision, someone who visualized it as live action.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They're taking the exact same story, exact same characters, and putting it in their vision.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The thing between a remake of a video game and a remake of a Disney movie is that one is disgusting and a sin to humanity, and the other one is actually wanted and desired.
Not always.
Always. If you give me a remake of the Punisher game on the original Xbox and PS2,
okay, but
glory from that.
But there could be a game that you don't want remade that you're just like, why couldn't you just remaster that?
Yeah, that's the thing. I keep thinking about Knights of the Old Republic as we're recording this, and I'm sorry if it sounds boring because I really am thinking about, would I rather have a remaster of Knights of the Old Republic? Same kind of game mechanics, same features. It's a perfect game. I love Knights of the Old Republic. But would I want it remade? I don't know about that. I don't know if I want that.
See what I mean?
I don't-
Sometimes, so even not in Disney World.
Like even Mario Kart Double Dash. I don't know if I
That's a
want
good
that.
game.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that remade. I just want a remaster of it, which you can get with Eon Gaming products.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, this is the best part about Eon products is that
yes.
because for me, I wouldn't necessarily always buy a remaster just because, especially if I still have the game on the original system. Like we have a GameCube and we have the game. Why would I go out and buy it for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
You know? And that's the best part of the Eon stuff.
Well, it would be on Switch for a Double Dash.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about necessarily. I'm just saying.
Oh, Double Dash on the Switch. I would buy that
Anyway.
on the Switch. But
that's what I'm saying. That's the best part about the Eon products is that this isn't a commercial or anything. We just really like the product.
Yeah.
That's the best part, is that it does like the remaster almost without having to buy a whole new game.
Now, actually, this segues into my next note, is that with remakes and remasters and even reboots, no, not even reboots, do we think this plays a part in game preservation, or is this killing the initiative?
I think they're both a little extreme.
Yeah.
I don't think it's killing the initiative, but I don't think it's really doing much for it either.
Okay, explain.
Because when I think of game preservation, I think of just the original games.
Yeah.
Well taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we still have my original GameCube.
Yes.
With the original games that came out on it.
Yes. There you are correct.
So to me, that's like, we are preserving that memory and that time.
Yeah.
By still using and keeping and taking care of my system and my games.
Yeah.
So doing a remaster or a reboot so that they can be played on new systems. Yeah, you have the memories, but it's not the same in my opinion.
See, it's a difficult question, and if you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below. Does this help game preservation? I really do want to hear your thoughts here. Yeah. If you're listening to us on iTunes or anything like that, tweet at us, Gaming Groceries.
Can I say one more thing?
Go for it.
So, and another example on that is that when we were at RetroCon, I was searching high and low for a good Genesis with the Aladdin game.
Yes.
And when you came to me and said, oh my gosh, they're making the Aladdin and Lion King game, you expected me to be so excited. Like, you thought I was going to be bouncing off the walls excited, but I wasn't, because I wanted it on the Genesis, because that's the way I played it.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get it for the
You're
Switch.
You're a purist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, the nostalgia is held in the whole thing, not just the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to play it on the Switch because I don't have a Genesis to play it on. But
yeah. Well, you technically do.
Well,
it's
whatever.
just a crappy one.
Anyway, but that's what I mean, where it's like, it's the whole system to me that holds that nostalgia.
No, you're exactly right. And it's a tough question, just because a remaster allows for new players to access the games of old, right? However, though, if you really think about it, like what you're saying, it's still not the same game as it was intended to play.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of Retrofest still hooking up their systems to CRT TVs. While there are HD TVs that have the RCA outputs, right, or inputs, I should say, inputs, usually they'll have these CRTs. That's because, like, it was intended to play on this kind of TV, this kind of system. I still think, in my opinion, remasters, not remakes, I still think remasters still play a part in game preservation, because just like what you said, is that it allows you to play the same game on a newer system, on a new system that isn't wearing out. Yeah. Like the original Xbox. That's going to be retro pretty soon. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so in my definition,
I think it's already retro.
In my definition of a retro console, 2 generations have to pass before it's retro.
We're past that.
So the 360 isn't retro in my mind, but once the new generation comes out, 360 is now retro, in my opinion. That's not the correct opinion. Write it down in the comments or tweet at me, Ace the Grocer. Fight me. Anyways, but the original Xbox actually has a battery inside that starts to corrode, right? It starts to corrode and eventually will actually implode your system.
Wow.
Sometimes it will set your system on fire. So I would love remasters of original games. Or even, I love what Xbox is doing. I love you, Phil Spencer. You're my favorite, because he's actually making the Xbox One backwards compatible, not only with 360 games, but with original Xbox games.
Yeah.
Select games, mind you. One of those select games is not Jet Set Radio Future, but I'm not bitter at all about that. Mr. Phil
It
Spencer.
could come.
No, it won't, because he just announced. He also announced that these are going to be the last and final backwards compatible of the original
Well, that's
Xbox.
stupid. If you're going to do it, do all of them.
That's what I said. And it was Splinter Cell. I love Splinter Cell, but you know what I love more than Splinter Cell? Jet Set Radio Future. But
Anyway.
I'm not bitter about that at all.
Anyway.
I'm not bitter about that.
I know.
But that's the thing. I think
Yeah.
I still think a remaster still plays a part.
Yeah, that's true.
But a remake, you could argue, kills the initiative of game preservation.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the way of it's not the intended way. Now, actually, hold on. It still might, because again, a remake is the intended artistic style of the original creator, but now with today's technology.
Not always.
Well, take a look at Final Fantasy VII's remake, right? If he had the technology of today, right?
Yeah.
And made Final Fantasy VII, it would look exactly like this.
But that's not always the case.
Name an example.
Well, I don't have video game examples. I don't even. I'm not saying, but I'm saying that's not always the case because if that person's not the one making it,
Right.
you don't know what their intended vision was for it.
Well,
And it's someone else making it, so it's clear it's someone else's vision for it.
yeah, but I'm always writing.
Anyway,
You rubber, I'm glue. Wait, no. Wait, hold on. Dang it. It's late at night. I'm also drinking
Anyway.
a pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce this? Scuffly?
Schlafly.
It's late at night, people. Anyways, continue.
Can I show it?
Yeah, go for it. Write it in comments down below. How do I pronounce that?
It's Schlafly. Kevin said it the other day.
Well, Kevin is a nice guy. Now, moving on. Oh, go for it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get the thing for remasters, and I do agree that yes, they, as far as the thing goes, as like you don't have to keep an old box TV to play your old
CRTs,
games.
yeah.
That's that helps.
Right.
But
yeah.
I am one. I don't mind playing a game or watching a movie with like bad graphics from when they were out.
Yeah.
Because that, and like you said, that's the way it was what it was meant to be shown on. So like you're always like you want to change all of our DVDs to Blu-rays
Yes.
or 4K if it's necessary.
Oh, you caught me there because sometimes we watch a movie from the 1980s, like Die Hard, and I don't want the Blu-ray for it.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. We don't
dang it.
I don't care about those things because if I go to watch My Girl,
Yeah.
which I love that movie. If I go to watch My Girl, I don't need to see that in Blu-ray or 4K. It was meant to be shown in regular.
Yeah. Because there's a charm to it. There's a certain
Exactly. That the grittiness, the little like when you have that recording from your VHS and it has that little blipping screen.
Yeah.
It's
part of the charm.
It's part of the charm, and that's why I like it. So the same thing for me goes for video games. If it was meant to be played on an old TV,
Yeah.
and it had lines going through it, and it was very
Gritty.
yeah, then that's the way it's meant to be, and that's what holds it in there. So for me, remasters still aren't always the best option.
Yeah.
But remasters help the initiative more than remakes. Remakes don't do anything for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is that like I think that remasters and remakes can have us re-experience our childhood memories back in the old days, right?
But it's not the same.
I know it's not the same, but it can also introduce the next generation to new memories. Because one of our students, who I love, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. But
we couldn't pay him enough money to play our GameCube.
I showed him Mario Party, the original Mario Party on N64, and his reaction was, "Ew, these graphics." It took all of my might. It took all of my power. I even prayed a little that I would not slap this child into next week. when he said,
Yeah.
"Ill these graphics."
Yeah, I kind of wanted to punch him in the face when he said that.
But that's just it. That's just it. Is that it introduces these kids who are used to better graphics into good games, into games that introduced everything else.
Yeah.
Fortnite wouldn't exist without these,
Mario Party.
without Mario Party. That's a fact. I will challenge me.
No, I agree.
Yeah. No, I'm saying to the audience right
I
now,
know.
challenge me. It's late at night, so I'll accept any challenge. But here's the thing, is that I still think that remasters and remakes still have a place.
They have a place, but it's also okay to not want those things.
Yeah.
If you look at they do a remake of one of your old favorite games, it's okay to be like, I'll pass.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like this Aladdin Lion King game. We'll get it eventually, just for giggles.
Yeah, I want to play Aladdin.
Yeah, I still want to play Iconoclasts on the Switch, which is still on sale. But that's just it. Is that like it still reintroduces still childhood memories just on a new system,
Mhm.
right? And that's the thing. You don't have to keep your old rotting system
Yeah.
there. Now, if you take good care of it, awesome.
Yeah. Good for you. You get to play your games on it.
Yeah,
so.
I still have my original Xbox. Oh, wait. No, I don't.
Oh, my goodness.
Because my uncle threw it away. And I could have fixed it because I fix old consoles. It's my hobby. But now I will end it with this. I'm going to end it with this. Not all remasters, not all remakes, they're not necessary.
No.
It's not necessary for Knights of the Old... Actually, yes, it is. It's not
But
necessary.
it's
Quiet. Knights of the Old Republic deserves a remaster.
Anyway.
Just like Floki.
Anyway.
Floki deserves a gold medal.
Well, yeah. He's the best puppy in the world. But anyway.
Knights of the Old Republic. It's not... The remasters aren't always necessary, but they make older games, and I want to use this correctly. It makes older games accessible. It makes older games accessible to the next generation of gamers,
Yeah.
in my opinion, right?
Yes.
Now, I see the camera is low on battery, and I am low on energy as well because it is late at night, and I'm drinking a pumpkin beer.
Camera's going to turn off soon.
I am ready for nights. So, let's end it there before the camera runs out. I'm pretty almost out of time, so let's end it here. So, any other closing thoughts?
Not really.
Yeah. So give us your opinions on remasters, remakes in the comments down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below. What are your thoughts on remasters and remakes? If you made it this far, I love you. That's it. I just love you so much. And if you're listening on audio version, send me an email, contact@gamesandgroceries.com, and just send me your thoughts or tweet at me at acethegrocer, at Gaming Groceries, or
At Journey First. I forgot it at first.
You can also follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word. We can find out all these pictures about us, about our dog, about a question of the week. You should do it. Do that. And also our website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all the audio versions of the podcast. It's late at night, people. I'm so sorry.
It's bedtime.
Yeah, it's bedtime. And finally, if you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed this on YouTube, definitely give it a like. Definitely give it a share for anybody who would enjoy this type of episode. Definitely share it with them because, you know, you love us like I love you. Mwah. So definitely comment down below and definitely consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell if you made it this far because you can keep a track of when all these episodes come out, as well as our Question of the Week episodes, podcast highlights, and also our Let's Plays of the complete Life is Strange series that we are playing thus far. So it is time for us to go to sleep.
Yay!
Let's do that. We thank you again for listening to this week's episode. We hope to see you next week. Have a good week.